Welcome back to the final part of our Trails in the Sky community ranking. We've seen the bad, we've seen the misunderstood, and we've seen the controversial. Now, we're going to see the universally beloved of the Sky cast, starting at number 10. Breaking into the top 10, we have the adorable and brave Tita Russell. As soon as I saw her in the Chaldea tunnel, a subconscious voice echoed from the depths of my mind. She must be protected. However, it's not like Tita can't protect herself, as she utilises a literal hand cannon as a weapon. When we finally make it to Zace, we eventually meet up with Tita once again, quickly followed by a small detour to her house where we also meet her grandfather, Albert Russell, one of the 3 disciples of Epstein. As we travel with Tita, we discover that she's one heck of a tinker, displaying a passion for anything mechanical and able to fix most ailing machinery with ease, showing a level of intelligence far beyond her years. She's also a bit of a crybaby, but that won't stop her from throwing herself in harm's way to protect those who she cares about, and it's a trait that I love about the character. Yes, she may be scared as many people would be, but unlike the majority, she is willing to sacrifice herself despite that fear. Overcoming that instinct at such a young age is commendable, and it's no wonder why you guys felt a connection to one of the most lovable characters in the series. Speaking of those who want to protect Tita, at number 9 we have Kroszner. Now before we go on, please don't tell me I'm the only one to call him Agates, you know, after the stone. I was taken aback when I heard its actual pronunciation later down the road, so changing my mindset has been a struggle. If I do call him Agates, know that this has been rooted in me for a while. Anyway, Agate is an A-rank bracer come the end of the Sky trilogy. Unlike the innocent Tita, Agate is a stern, no-nonsense bracer who hides a dark secret as he travels Liberl. Back during the 100 Days War, Agate lost his sister to an incendiary shell which burnt down his house and killed his sister immediately. Upon seeing the reason why she was in the house while others were evacuating, namely a present she made for the bracer in her burnt hand, Agate blamed himself for her death and later saw Tita as the spitting image of the one he had lost, which explains why he has become so protective of her. Poor Tita will just never get past the sister barrier. Despite his obvious anger, however, Agate is a deductive and smart individual in the fold of battle, but he can easily be overcome by emotion which can put him in life-threatening situations. This eventually manifests into a moment where he puts Tita in mortal danger and he starts to realise the error of his ways, realising that charging in a blind rage and swinging at his sorrows through using his blade is not the way to move forward. Through the help of those close to him, Agate finally begins to forgive himself for what happened and resolves to move forward for himself and those he wishes to protect. At number 8 we have the regal and kind Claudia von Auslese, heir to the Liberl throne and granddaughter of Queen Alicia von Auslese. Although we don't know this till much later and simply see her as Chloe, which we will call her from now on. When I think of a princess, I immediately think of a character like Chloe. This isn't stereotypical and is in no way a bad thing. My idea of a great princess archetype lies in the ability to feel compassion for those around her, but is also able to take names when she needs to. Chloe is definitely of this mould. We see her withholding her true feelings for Joshua throughout Sky's second chapter out of respect for her friend Estelle. Eventually in Sky the Third, she reveals these feelings to Joshua at the Grand Sale party where she is promptly rejected. To my chagrin, poor Chloe gets a lot of stick for doing this from certain people in the fandom, but I see this as a real show of strength. By this point, Chloe knows the answer she will receive from Joshua, but she needs to release these feelings in order to move on for the good of herself and Liberl. Knowing what the answer will be and still going ahead with her confession regardless of this shows a deep underlying strength to the character. I mean, how many people would willingly force themselves to hear what they are dreading? This combination of compassion, kindness and pride combines to make Chloe into a strong member of the cast, and I'm glad many fans see her in a positive light. At number 7 we have the living legend himself, Cassius Bright. Within an hour of playing through Sky, we start to realise how big a deal Pappy Bright is. The guy turned the tide of the 100 Days War through his military brilliance. He's a Divine Blade of the 8 Leaves 1 Blade School, an S-rank bracer, which is pretty much unheard of within Zemuria, and is one of the most influential individuals of the series through his interactions across his bracer career. Cassius is pretty much Liburlian Zeus, so it's great to see him in the Sky Arc as the dorky father who would do anything for his family. Despite being intuitive to the point where he was even able to outwit Gilead Osborne during the Orbital Shutdown event, Cassius on many occasions will show a compassionate side that many individuals would struggle to match throughout their lives. A good example of this would be when he took in Joshua Astrai, his would-be assassin, as a member of the Bright family, tending to his wounds and raising him as his own son. What I love about Cassius is that this man is a true hero. He is a goal to aim for throughout the Sky Arc, which of course culminates in that brilliant fight in Sky the Third. Eventually though, we begin to see that being a hero comes with its downsides, as those who idolised him would steer to more desperate measures to protect Liberl after his parting from the army. Even now, after playing 8 Trails games, I still think I'm yet to find another character like Cassius, and I'm hoping that him and his fabulous moustache will remain so for years to come. Easily the most dark backstory in the Trails series. Anyone who has watched my top 10 Trails moments or the story of Ren on my channel will know about the tragic life of Ren Hayworth. Experimented on to the brink of insanity, which resulted in deep psychological trauma and sold into child prostitution, the background surrounding Ren is not something for the faint of heart. As we play through Sky, we start to realise the true persona that encompasses this little girl, this sadistic and calculating child who takes pleasure in the suffering of others. She believes that fairy tales of happy families and doting parents are just those, fairy tales. Despite her bloodthirsty nature though, which had moulded over many years through her time at Paradise and was solidified through the conditioning of Weissman, Ren's logic starts to crumble around her as a ray of sunshine tries to break into her inky black psychological prison, and by the end of Sky the Third we see her for what she truly is, a child who yearns for a family of her own. As we start to understand more about Ren, we start to realise why she ended up how she is in the games. Does this excuse her for what she's done? Not at all. But despite this, we still come to a conclusion. This is not her fault. She was brought up in a world that no child should be subjected to, and it's no wonder why she ends up how she does. So it makes it all the sweeter when you start to realise this seemingly sadistic monster is actually still just a young girl deep down, and gives us the incentive to see her story arc to the end. From one enforcer to another, breaking into the top 5 is the Blade Emperor Leonhardt, or as his friends once knew him, Liyue. Liyue, like Ren, has a tragic past, being one of the 2 survivors of the Harmel tragedy. His peaceful days were snatched away from him for the benefit of power-hungry individuals, which led Liyue to believe that humans are inherently weak as a species and will give in to their latent desires. The only one who broke from this norm, he felt, was his beloved Karen Astrai, who lost her life during the tragedy. From the point Liyue becomes an enforcer, he's been shooting for his goal of testing humanity with ruthless Abaddon. Despite this though, it's clear that he still holds some degree of moral, as he expresses a strong dislike of the Anguish George Weissman, and the methods he employs to get his way, which is strongly linked to the conditioning he did on Joshua. This eventually culminates in his sacrifice during the Liber Arc incident, where he saves both Estelle and Joshua from an Oriel-infused Weissman. What I love about Liyue is the polarity of his character. Like Alan Richard, we can feel some form of empathy for his viewpoint, but we still know that his chosen path is the wrong one. It's our job as the player to help him see the error of his ways, as there is clearly still good within him. It culminates in a beautiful ending to second chapter, where we take his blade back to Harmel and lay it at Karen's grave, bringing them both back together for the rest of time. What the heck is wrong with you guys? You voted an insensitive jerk into the top 10. Kill me now. No, but seriously, Kevin is an understandable fan favourite. First met at the start of second chapter, he tries to help Estelle as she desperately looks for Joshua, disguising himself as a jovial wandering priest. Of course, come the apex of the journey, we learn that Kevin is actually the 5th dominion of the Gralsritter Knights, the Heretic Hunter. As the title would suggest, Kevin is ruthless as an assassin, killing the likes of Weissman with ease. His carefree exterior can sometimes give way to a darker side that has suffered many previous hardships, which we see in more detail come Trails in the Sky the Third. It's thus quite easy to draw parallels between Kevin and Agate, as he burdens himself with the death of Rufina Argent, an event that happened because of his stigma manifestation. Rather than get his wish of being killed in redemption for her death, however, he was granted the position of Fifth Dominion by the Congregation of the Sacraments, leading him down his current path. Thankfully, come the end of Third, and after overcoming his desire to punish himself for what happened, Kevin changes his title to a yet unknown name come the end of Sky in tribute to Rufina. Unlike many on this list, Kevin takes on the role of protagonist, and honestly he makes a great lead character along with Rias. The charisma is there, the struggle is clear, and the growth is earned. No wonder Kevin ends up so high on the list. Moving on to one of the two main characters of the Sky arc, we find Joshua Bright at number 3. From the start of Sky first chapter, we see Joshua as a calm, kind and deductive young man, most in his element when figuring out the best course of action. However, his calm exterior does give way to a more serious side, which surfaces in a confrontation with Mayor Delmore. Come the end of first chapter, we learn why the young man snapped like this. Joshua has been under the control of Weissman since his adoption by Cassius Bright, secretly giving information to Ouroboros, completely unbeknownst to Joshua himself. With his memories now free, including the death of his sister, Joshua resolves to destroy Ouroboros himself. Like Liyue, he was a survivor of Hamel, but seeing the death of his sister and shooting the assailant himself resulted in Joshua's heart and psyche breaking. It was only due to Weissman that Joshua was able to come back to any semblance of sanity, albeit as a weapon of the organisation. Now for me personally, the best scene for Joshua comes in Moondoor 4, where we see the aftermath of his adoption into the Bright family. It's clear that even after being adopted, he was still very much under the throes of Weissman's conditioning, but over time his exposure to this ray of sunshine started to crack the elaborate case around his mind until he eventually knew that his new purpose in life was to protect his shining light. The struggles of Joshua Bright are a testament to how good his character is. Despite his resolve to defeat Ouroboros, he doesn't want others to get hurt because of his goal. He doesn't want another incident like the death of his sister to happen again. It shows strength, yes, but it also shows a vulnerability that is all too common in even the strongest individuals. This contrast between outer strength and inner weakness is what makes Joshua such a compelling character from start to finish. Oh, and also, Joshua is a much better cross-dresser than Cloud. And now to the not so stereotypical prince archetype. Olivert Reyse Arna, known as Olivier Lenheim for the majority of the Sky arc, is the illegitimate son of Eugent III, Emperor of Erebonia. When we first meet Olivert, he seems like quite a flamboyant chap. He loves to flirt with anyone he finds attractive, and I mean anyone. He teases his tank of a bodyguard profusely, loves to make an entrance, and is all around a pacifist who believes all life is beautiful. The guy appears to be an aloof party animal for the majority of the trilogy, but he's actually more intuitive than most people realise. In some ways, he's very similar to Gilead Osborne, like a two sides of the same coin kind of deal, but instead of pursuing a goal through conquest, he prefers to do so via his own humane methods. It was his plan, in conjunction with Cassius Bright, that gave the team in Liberl the time they needed to overcome the Liber Arc incident and prevent a full-scale goodwill invasion under the guise of international security. His love for Erebonia is significant, and he wants the people of his country to feel true pride, something that he feels he has experienced in Liberl. It's his way of fighting against the more cold methods of the Chancellor. Olivert is a fantastic member of the Sky cast. His ability to hide his true identity to bring out a dorky artistic side for the benefit of not only Liberl and Erebonia but the whole of Zemuria paints him in a light that we don't often see from those of noble background. Of course, he has an intriguing relationship with Scheherazade as well, which also has us at the edges of our seat, so there's plenty more for us to look forward to from the debaucherous prince as we delve deeper into the overarching story. I mean, honestly, was there any doubt about this one? Estelle, in my opinion, is one of the greatest protagonists in gaming period. From the start of first chapter, we see Estelle as the gung-ho, tomboyish girl who would rather charge in first and ask questions later, much to the embarrassment of Joshua on some occasions. Despite this, she's extremely kind and takes on a big sister role for characters like Tita. She can't turn a blind eye to an injustice and will do anything she can to find a solution. However, for me, the thing that makes Estelle so special as a character is in relation to her growth. By the end of the first game, Estelle has lost what is most important to her, in Joshua, and come the start of second chapter, it's heartbreaking to watch her go through the slow realization that what happened upon that balcony the previous night really did occur. Despite trying to deny it all the way back to Roland, she has to come to terms with the fact that now, Joshua is gone. But this doesn't bring her down. With the help of Cassius, Kevin and the like, she resolves to find him and bring him back to the Bright family, becoming stronger and wiser in the process. During this journey, Estelle's already witty mind becomes more sharp with a plethora of awesome one-liners. She starts to analyse rather than charge in, but more prevalently, she brings two people back from a seemingly endless pit of despair. She manages to break through to a twisted Wren through her kindness alone, a child who to many appears to be completely lost, and Estelle is the only one who doesn't give up on her. She's also able to literally break Weissman's conditioning of Joshua through her deduction and words alone. That scene as the Bracer duo escape the Glorious and end up on the beach truly shows how far Estelle has come over her journey. She doesn't need to be protected anymore. She understands why Joshua is turning away from her, but she makes it clear that she will always be there to support him. It would never have to be a one-sided affair as Joshua believed it to be. Estelle is the epitome of what makes the Trails series so beloved, and I'm not surprised that she was overwhelmingly the favourite within this community ranking. In this case, Estelle truly is Bestelle. And that brings an end to our Trails in the Sky community ranking. Thank you to everyone for watching and seeing this through to the end. It was a great amount of fun interacting with you guys and seeing your opinions come to the fore. As said previously, I want to do more of these community rankings in the near future, so keep an eye out on my future content where I'll be linking the polls in the pinned comments. Hope you enjoyed the journey guys, and I'll catch you again very soon.